Your Honor. Excuse me, Your Honor.
Judge Hayward will be right with you.
Okay. Do you have a Avery Knight?
Here I am. I lost you. I didn't know where my screen was. All right. How can I help you, Deputy?
There's a Mr. Avery Knight who just appeared in the courtroom. Is he on the calendar for 1 o'clock?
Yes. And tell Mr. Knight both his cases have been dismissed and he's free to go at this time.
Mr. Knight.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
All right. You too, Mr. Knight. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we have an announcement.
Okay, Ms. John VA, what's your announcement on the Nation case?
Yes, Your Honor, the state is moving to no pros.
All right, Mr. Nation?
I don't know if he came back yet.
Yeah, he's right back. Mr. Nation?
Yes, Your Honor.
The state has announced that there are no pros in your case, so at this time, sir, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, so Atkins, Eugene, FTA, Cedric Evans, FTA, Knight, no pros on both cases, Nation, no pros, Samuel, FTA, and Walker, no pros. And the court will return for the 2 p.m. calendar.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In progress.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward. This is the 2 p.m. calendar for traffic bench trials. Thank you for your patience with the delay. I'm going to call the calendar, and when I do, if you are here representing yourself, please let me know that you are here and whether you're ready to go forward with a plea or whether you wish to speak with the state about go forward with a trial, and whether you're ready to speak with the state about a possible plea. If you're represented by an attorney, I need to know that you are here, but your attorney will speak on your behalf. Shannon Irene Bedgood.
Your Honor, the
She's
state
trying to
submitted,
log on.
Okay.
and also the state sent a motion to no pros for Ms. Bedgood earlier today.
All right, so the motion to no pros will be signed. Ms. Bedgood's case will be dismissed. Darius Lamandez Bell. Darius Lamandez Bell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I have my microphone muted. I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Bell, do you have an attorney representing you, or are you representing yourself?
Representing myself.
Okay, and do you wish to go forward with a trial at this time, or do you wish to speak with the state to determine whether they have a plea offer that you'd like to accept?
I would like to do the trial at the time. Go ahead, do the trial.
Is the state ready on Bell?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. One moment, Mr. Bell. Louis Lorenzo Dotson. Louis Lorenzo Dotson.
Your Honor, he's present in the courtroom.
All right, Mr. Dotson, come on up to the podium for me.
He does have a lawyer, but he is
Oh.
not in the courtroom at this time.
Who's his attorney?
What's your attorney's name?
His name is Adam Ruff.
Adam Ruff.
Okay, Mr. Ruff will be on in a minute.
He is here in the court. He was here earlier. He stepped out. So
Okay, so he'll be in a minute. Louis Lorenzo Dotson and his attorney, Mr. Ruff. Samaya Monet Harris.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Ms. Harris, let me see you, please.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. Hi, I'm here for the I completed my driving ed school.
All right, did you provide that to the state, Ms. Harris?
I didn't. I was trying to know what where to send it off to because I have my certificate.
All right, Ms. John VA or Mr. Tipton, was that what she needed to do?
I wasn't aware of that requirement, Your Honor. I don't see anything here, but I'm happy to look at it.
All right, Ms. Harris, who told you to do?
I was in court. I was in court in around January or something like that. My court told me that I had to take a ed class just to pass because around in December I got into a car accident and I had to pay my ticket off and I had to take the driving class.
Yeah, but who told you to take the driving class?
Court.
Okay. I'm court, and I don't remember telling you that. So who?
No, it was another lady. It was another lady, but I forgot her name. I really forgot her name.
All right.
So if I didn't have to take the driving class, then why am I here?
Because you have a case that's open and you asked for a trial.
I didn't ask. I plead guilty with the car accident.
It says failure to yield the right of way.
I paid that ticket off.
No, ma'am. That's not one you can just pay online.
No, I paid it in person.
Okay,
I
if I have any information about what Ms. Harris is saying. Okay, Ms. Harris, we're gonna research that. LaShawn Johnson. Nakia?
Nakia, yes, I'm
LaShawn?
here.
Okay, Ms.
I'm here.
Johnson, are you ready to go forward with a trial, or did you wish to talk to the state about a possible plea?
When I went to court, I pleaded not guilty, and I told them I wanted to do a trial.
Okay, then today is your trial date. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
All right, is the state ready for trial in Johnson?
Yes, sir. I do know that, oh, I see him on, never mind. Oh, he was having some issues earlier, but the officer, he's here. Yes.
Okay, and Edgar Jones.
I believe that Mr. Jones said that, Mr. Wood said that he had spoken to you about a continuance.
Yes, Judge, that's gonna be a reset. Mr.
Okay,
Woods
thank
filed
you.
the emerge, he had a conflict.
All right, so
Now, what's going on the Harris case?
she says she said she paid it, then she said she was told by court, I'm not sure who that is, to take a driver improvement course, and she took a course, but I'm not sure who's telling her what, and the state has no record of her being required to do a course prior to trial.
Okay, I don't have a record either. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Okay, Darius Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me see you, sir.
All right. Here I am.
All right.
Hi.
Mr. Bell, you're before the court for an unsecured load, 2021 TK 19756. The state has the burden of proving the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. And Mr. Ruff, are you representing Mr. Bell? Okay, you have to unmute the courtroom.
Sorry, Judge, no, I'm just standing here. I represent Mr. Dobson.
Oh, okay. So the state has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt the charges against you. You do not have to give any evidence or testimony. You have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. If you do wish to give evidence and testimony after the state presents its case, then you may do that, but you're not required to. Nobody can make you testify or give up your right to remain silent. Once the state presents witnesses, any witness that the state presents, you have the right to ask them questions. You don't have to do it like a lawyer would. You just ask the question that you want the court to know the answer to, okay? And generally, if you will listen carefully to their testimony, you should ask a question about the testimony that they have given or something that happened with respect to the situation that brought you to court. Please don't make any statements or tell me what happened, because then you're giving up your right to remain silent, and we haven't gotten to that part yet. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So at this time, state versus Darius Lamondez Bell, 2021 TK 19756. Ms. Janvier, you may begin.
Yes, Your Honor, we'd like to call Officer Green.
All right.
How you
All
doing,
right.
Judge?
I'm good, sir. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
I do.
All right. Ms. Janvier?
All right. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Officer Brandon Green. Pull up Clayton County Police in the Uniform Division.
Okay, thank you for that. And how long have you been employed with the Clayton County Police?
I've been employed going on 3 years.
And is there any required training to become a police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what training that is?
We have to complete academy class, and then once we get out of academy, we have to go through 10 weeks with a FTO field trainer, where we in the field being trained how to perform different duties, traffic stops, accidents. We also have to sign up yearly for 20 hours every year for training. It's a lot of training hours that go into it.
And specifically your training for collisions or accidents. Can you explain to us a little bit about that training?
Yes, ma'am. We're trained whenever we respond to an accident, we speak to both parties. Both all units involved in the vehicle accidents or collision. Once we get the stories from both sides, we determine who's an at-fault person based off what we see, what we investigate, and what we're told by the drivers themselves.
All right, thank you for that. And Officer Green, were you working on December 16th, 2021?
I was.
And what shift were you on?
I was on evening watch, sector 4 evening watch.
Okay, thank you for that. And did you have occasion to, while on that shift that day, to be on Jonesboro Road and State Road 138?
Yes, ma'am.
What county is that located?
Clayton County.
Thank you for that. And on that day, did anything occur during your shift?
Yes, I responded to a vehicle accident between Unit 1 driver and Unit 2. Hold on for me 1 second. Yes, I responded to a vehicle accident involving a tractor trailer with a Unit 1 driver and another vehicle, where Unit 1 was traveling some loads on the back of his trailer, and I believe he said like a strap broke, and it had struck Unit 2's vehicle and spilled paint onto the road.
And so after speaking with the driver for Unit 1 and Unit 2, were you able to determine who was the name of the person that was the name of the driver for Unit 1?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that person's name?
It was Mr. Bell.
Let the record reflect that Officer Green has identified Mr. Bell.
Officer Green has identified that the name of the person who was at the scene of the accident that he spoke to was Mr. Bell.
Mr. Green, do you see Mr. Bell in the courtroom today?
Yes, that was him that spoke earlier with the headset on.
All right, thank you. May the record reflect that Mr. Officer Green has identified Mr. Bell?
Record shall reflect that.
Thank you. All right, and Officer Green, after you spoke with Mr. Bell and the other driver, what else did you do as a part of your investigation to determine who, if anyone, might be cited?
I looked at the areas of where they said they was traveling at, the paint that was spilled on the road. I determined that the paint and the cargo being carried came from Unit 1. Also, he admitted that he was carrying it and that the strap had broke, which was his responsibility for while driving that unit.
Okay. And after speaking with Mr. Bell and doing your investigation, did you cite anyone for the accident?
I did.
Who did you cite for the accident?
Mr. Bell.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, Mr. Bell, do you have questions for Officer Green?
Yes, ma'am. The only question I have for him is identifying the scrap broke compared to that my load was secured with 2 scrap and 2 air protector. Neither of my scrap was cut
Okay,
or damaged.
Mr. Bell, remember I said, don't tell me what you say happened. Ask the officer questions about his testimony or what he says happened.
Yes. Officer, can you explain to me how my scrap look as they broke? Like how was my scrap identified as being broken?
I don't specialize in the equipment that you use. I do know that you admitted that your strap had broke, and that's how the cargo fell and damaged Unit 2 car.
Did you have another question, sir?
Yes. Officer, did I tell you that the pallet that the material was on caved in, that was the damaged part?
I believe you said a couple things probably broke on there.
Okay.
Did you have anything else, sir?
No, ma'am. That's all the
All
question I have.
Okay, Ms. Janvier, did you have any follow-up for this officer?
Just a couple. Officer Green, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the equipment is in good working order?
The driver of all vehicles, they are responsible for anything dealing with that vehicle as far as functional equipment, loads that they are carrying.
Would a strap be considered a piece of equipment?
Yes, it would.
Would a pallet be considered a piece of equipment?
Yes, it would.
Were you able to determine that the cargo load was not adequately secured?
I was able to determine that, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Mr. Bell, anything else for this officer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so does the state have additional witnesses or evidence to present?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Bell, the state has the burden of proving the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You're not required to give testimony or present evidence in any way. At this time, sir, the state has presented their only witness. Do you wish to give any evidence or testimony?
I have evidence.
Okay. What type of evidence?
I have photos.
Okay. So Ms. Janvier, have you seen these photos?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
Okay, so Mr. Bell, I'm gonna put you and Ms. Janvier in a breakout room. You're gonna show her the photos, and then once you all are finished looking through the photos, you're gonna come back and we're gonna determine whether those photos are gonna be put into evidence, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All
And Your
right,
Honor, may I go in that breakout room with Ms. Janvier?
yeah, it's already set up. It's gonna be breakout room number 2. And Mr. Bell, I'm gonna put you in breakout room number 2,
Okay,
okay? Let me know when y'all are ready.
I'm ready.
Go ahead, sir.
Nah, they put them in a breakout room.
Okay, hey,
What's going on, boss?
she says about needing to follow salt.
Your Honor, we're trying to get those pictures now from the defendant, so it's just taking us a little more, just a moment.
Mr. Tipton.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, we're back.
All right. So, Ms. Janvier, were you all able to review those, review the pictures?
Yes, Your Honor, we did review them.
Okay, and
Your Honor, we would object to the authentication of the photos.
okay. Because,
We just don't have any way to know whether or not this is exactly from the day and time of the incident.
okay, so, Mr. Bell? Can unmute, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Bell, when were those pictures taken?
The day of the incident, I have on also on the picture, it'll tell me the date and time the picture was actually taken.
Okay, and who took those pictures?
I did.
Okay.
With my iPhone.
And did you take them, like
They-
how soon after the accident or before, like after the accident happened, how soon did you take the pictures?
Right after the accident.
Okay, so the objection is denied, it's overruled. The pictures will be admitted. How many pictures are we talking?
I think it's submit 6, but all the photos are timestamped with the days and the time on the iPhone. Like I can show you the time and date that the photo actually taken.
All right, so Mr. Bell, do you have the pictures on your phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you using the phone to do the Zoom?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, how were you able to show them to Ms. Janvier and Mr. Tipton?
I sent it to her in an email.
Okay, Ms. Janvier, do you have the email?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, can you send it to the court?
Send it directly to you, Your Honor.
Yeah. All right, let me know when you've sent them.
Yes, ma'am. I've sent them, Your Honor.
All right, let me see if I can find it. All right. One second. Not sure why it won't open. All right, can you all see what I'm sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
I can't. All I see is my screen. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this. All right, so I see the broken wood and the nails. Is that what you were trying to show, Mr. Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And more pictures of the palette,
Yes, ma'am.
and then the pictures of the straps.
Yes, the scraps right there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. So what is it you, Mr. Bell, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
And you, sorry, 1 second. Let me stop share. Okay, not sure what's going on with this. Okay, there we go. All right, so you can put your hand down, sir. And sir, you wish to testify regarding these pictures or give testimony in this case?
Yes.
You know, you do not have to give any evidence or testimony, that you have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, and you don't have to provide any testimony or evidence to the court.
Yes, ma'am.
But you wish to give that testimony at this time?
Yes.
All right, tell me about the straps. Tell me what you want me to know about the pallets.
Well, the scrap, I had 2 scraps on there, which is required by the federal law, and 2 edge protector, which was the blue plastic things in the picture that was on the edge of the material that I was carrying. And perhaps the pallet broken. When the pallet broken, it causes the shift, but I wasn't aware that the pallet had broken at some point of, I got down probably like 5 miles down the road. This is total out of my control, knowing that when a pallet will collapse or not. Also, a driver can't determine if a pallet would break at any given point. To me, may have been a manufacturer defect, or the people who I picked up the material from, they wasn't aware that the pallet could have been bad, but I have absolutely no control of what would determine how the pallet would look before it would actually, before the material actually been put on the pallet for me to pick it up.
Okay. Ms. John VA, did you have any questions of Mr. Bell?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bell, did you inspect the pallet prior to leaving the place you picked it up?
I did not inspect the pallet, but I did inspect the securement of my load.
Is the pallet a part of your load?
The pallet is, yes, this is a part of my load for as me picking material up, but it's not necessary.
I'm sorry, you cut in and out. I'm not sure if that was me or you just stopped talking. My signal is a bit unstable. You said it's not necessary for you to inspect the pallet?
Correct. I'm just responsible for really making sure that the load is secured, make sure my scrap is in place, but never the pallet, because sometimes I pick up material that goes on pallets.
Okay, so when you secured the pallet with the straps, when you secured the load with the straps, you secured the pallet as well, correct?
Correct, which is the material that's sitting on top of the pallet.
So you're saying that a part of the load is the pallet of which you secured, right?
Well, in this picture, yes, because otherwise I wouldn't have a way to carry loose silicone buckets.
Okay. So again, I'm sorry, you said prior to the accident, you did not inspect the pallet. That's correct, right?
Correct. When I left the yard, the pallet was standing up, it was in good condition.
Okay.
The material sitting on it, everything was fine.
Ultimately, Mr. Bell, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the load gets from the place in which you pick it up to the place it is supposed to be delivered?
As being a driver, it is the load driver responsibility to ensure the load get there safely. But for as building a pallet, that's not the driver responsibility.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bell, anything else you wish the court to know at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Ms. John VA, any argument that you wish to make?
Your Honor, at this time, Mr. Bell has repeatedly advised the court that it is his responsibility to ensure the load goes from the point of receipt to the point of delivery. He has advised the court that he did not at any time inspect the pallet, which is a part of the load, as he previously stated, I believe at least twice at this point, Your Honor. So Your Honor, the state would ask that you do find Mr. Bell guilty.
All right. So, Mr. Bell, I have this, I guess this argument is made a lot when it comes to people who are driving other folks' cars. So they'll say, well, I got into the car and I didn't know it didn't have any insurance. The driver, the owner didn't tell me that. And so I drove it, but I didn't know, so it shouldn't be my fault. Unfortunately, that's not the way the law works. When you are in control of a vehicle, then you're in control of that vehicle from the very front of the truck of the hood all the way to the end of the vehicle in the back. Everything that happens to that vehicle, whether it's insured, whether it has the proper paperwork, the licensing, whether there are things that fly off the vehicle because they weren't secured properly, or even if something breaks and flies off, that's your responsibility. And so in this case, even though you don't routinely, as you have testified, inspect pallets, the pallet was part of the load. The load was part of your job to ensure that it went from one place to the other. And so it is your responsibility to make sure that that load doesn't come apart and risk hurting someone else or damaging someone else's vehicle. So at this time, the court is going to find you guilty of failure to properly secure the load. What does the state have a recommendation for a sentence in this case?
A fine of $300.
All right. So, Mr. Bell, I understand that it was your responsibility, but there was also some unforeseen circumstances that happened in this case. The court is going to fine you the amount of $100 with the surcharges. That's going to be $151.50. And sir, do you need more than 30 days in which to pay that?
No, ma'am. 30 days is fine.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, sir, you know how to use the chat function?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you could chat your email address to Miss Brenda Castaneda. When you click on the chat function, you'll see the name in blue. Click on that blue name, and then you should see a list of names, and Miss Brenda's name is the one you're looking for. Chat her your email address, and once you've finished sending her your email address, then you'll be free to go. You'll get your information by email, and you'll have 30 days in which to pay. You can also pay online or by phone instead of coming into the courthouse. I understand that you drive, and so that may be easier for you. That information should be in the email that you get. Okay. Did you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right.
Thank you.
All right. And the next case is Mr. Ruff Louis Lorenzo Dotson.
Yeah, Judge, I think we actually just got that worked out with the state. Mr. Dotson would like to enter a no-low plea to a 69 and a 45.
Okay. Mr. Dotson, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. And it was a 65, I'm sorry, say that again. It was Mr. Ruff, what was the amended speed?
Sorry, Judge, searching for the mute button. The amended speed would be a no-low plea to the 69 and a 45.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Dotson, you're before the court on case 2021 TK 19604, pleading to the amended speed, pleading no low to the amended speed of 69 and a 45. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Judge,
Yes,
we would
Your-
stipulate. Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't want to take the state's thunder. We would stipulate as a factual basis.
Court will accept the stipulation. What's the recommendation?
$150 fine, Your Honor.
All right. That's the base fine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so, Mr. Ruff, your client, the fine will be $150. I'm not sure what that is with surcharges. Does your client need more than 30 days in which to pay?
He's there, but I don't believe so, Mr. Dodson. She should be okay. It's about 245 or so with the surcharges.
All right, so Mr. Dotson, I generally give people like 30 days in which to pay if they're not prepared to pay immediately. Sir, is that sufficient time for you?
They may need to unmute the courtroom.
Oh, I do need about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, so yeah, you'll have 30 days. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to go down to the second floor of this building right below you. When you come back through the double doors into the hallway, go to your left and you'll see the traffic court window. They're going to give you your paperwork and it's going to have the date by which you have to pay on that paperwork, okay? And they can also tell you about paying online or by phone in case you don't want to come back into the building.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Just make sure you don't leave the building without that paperwork.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so that resolves Mr. Dotson's case. Ms. Samaya Harris.
Your Honor, may officer, excuse me, Trooper Campbell be excused?
Yes.
Thank you, Trooper Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I believe Mr. Dotson was the last person that you had on the calendar in the courtroom. May I be excused?
Yeah, hold on a second though, because I want to get an announcement on the I want to make sure I'm clear on what's going on with the Barksdale case. So just hold on just a second for me, okay?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Harris, Samaya Harris.
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Harris, are you ready for a trial?
No. I already paid the ticket.
Okay, were we able to find that Ms. Harris has already paid this ticket?
Your Honor, we actually looked into it and we determined that she did not. Miss Harris came to court back in February and pled not guilty when she was in person. She pled not guilty on February 17th, 2022.
All right, so Ms. Harris, you did not in fact pay the ticket. You asked for a trial. That's what happens when you plead not guilty. So are you ready to go forward with a trial? Do you want to speak to the state about possibly taking a plea? Tell me what you want to do, ma'am.
Neither, because I paid the ticket. I actually went up there and
Okay,
the
Ms.
judge
Harris,
told me to pay
do
it.
you have proof of having paid the ticket?
Yes, it's on my email.
Okay, pull up the email, Ms. Harris, and forward it to Ms. Janvier or Mr. Tipton.
Please tell me it's in here. And you said what day was February the what?
February 17th, 2022, ma'am.
Okay. Please tell me something.
And Ms. Harris, I put my email in the chat for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, while Ms. Harris is looking for that email, Ms. Nakia Johnson, you're ready for trial?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Johnson, you understand that you do not have to give any evidence or testimony. It is the state's job to prove the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If you do wish to give testimony or evidence, I will ask you at that time whether you wish to do that, and if so, then you may do so at that time. You will have the right to question any witnesses brought by the state, but I ask you not to make any statements or to tell me what you think, believe, or know until such time as you've decided to waive your right to remain silent and offer testimony. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Janvier, are you ready on Ms. Johnson's case?
Yes, I saw the officer a moment ago. Let's see what's on the second page.
I see an Officer Milligan. Is
Yes.
that who you're looking for?
Yes, yes. Ma'am.
Officer Milligan, we're ready for you. may have stepped away. So this is the matter of the state of Georgia versus Nakia LaShawn Johnson, 2021 TK 19735 for improper lane change. All right, are you ready? You all,
Yeah, we're
can y'all-
sending a message to Officer Milligan.
Thank you.
Okay, we may have to call him second, Your Honor. We do have a witness here.
All right, let's call the other witness.
Ms.
Who's your other?
Anderson.
All right, Miss Monica Anderson, thank you for your patience, ma'am. If you'll let me see you so we can swear you in. Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can put your hand down, ma'am. Ms. Janvier, you're a witness, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Anderson. Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Monica Allen Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Anderson. And Ms. Anderson, are you a resident of Clayton County?
I am.
You are? Okay. And Ms. Anderson, what if anything happened on December 17th, 2021?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
I said, what if anything happened on December 17th, 2021?
Ms. Anderson, can you hear Ms. Janvier's question?
Yes, ma'am. She's asking me what if anything happened on, what was the date again?
December 17th, 2021.
Okay, I'm actually looking for the date that it did happen. I'm sorry. To make sure. Yeah, yes, ma'am. You just want me to tell what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on that date, I was headed down Terrell Boulevard. I was on my way to work.
Okay, Ms. Anderson. So
yes, ma'am.
I feel like you're moving away from wherever the microphone is. If you just kind of talk into the microphone. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, that's so much better. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I said, yes, I was headed to work on that morning of the accident. I was on Terrell Boulevard. I'm sorry, Terrell Boulevard. And I don't know if I think that would be like going north.
Okay. Is it that Terra Boulevard located in Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am. It is located in Clayton County.
Okay. So you were traveling north on Terra Boulevard?
Yes, I think that would be north because I was going towards 75.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And I don't know the plaintiff name right off here. I mean the young lady that's on trial. I can't remember her name right offhand. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's okay. You don't have to remember her name. You can just tell me what happened.
Yeah, she actually I don't know if she didn't maintain her name, but she like hit the side of my car, my passenger side.
Okay, and when she hit the side of the car, do you recall what the car looked like? The color of the car?
If I'm not mistaken, oh goodness. I'm not right offhand. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you. So after the right passenger side of your vehicle was hit, what happened next? What'd you do?
We actually pulled over in the gas station
Okay.
when the collision hit, and I guess we both called 911.
Okay. Did you do anything else? Did you inspect your vehicle at that
Yes,
time?
ma'am, I did inspect my vehicle. Yes, ma'am, I did. I'm sorry.
You're fine. What did you notice?
That the on the right side of the passenger side, near the front bumper, it was like damage done to the bumper, the near the right tire, the front tire.
How would you say you were driving on that day?
Slowly, because it was like foggy that day. It was very foggy that day.
Okay. And do you recall if you had your headlights on?
Yes, ma'am, my headlights automatically comes on, but yes, they were on.
All right. Do you recall if you were in a rush to get to your destination?
No, ma'am, I wasn't in a rush. I was on my way to work. I go the same time every day.
Okay. And after you inspected the damages and you called the police, did they come?
Yes, ma'am, they did come.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Johnson, do you have any questions of Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, so remember, don't tell me what you say happened.
Mhm.
Ask her questions regarding what happened or about her testimony.
Okay, she was traveling north. Do she remember what lane she was in? Was
Okay.
she on the right or left side of me?
I was on your driver's side. So that would be, I was traveling north. I think that's north. So I would be on your left side. Your driver's side would be on my passenger side.
Okay, so would you say you was in front of me or you was behind me?
I can't say whether I was in front of you or behind you. I can't say that. I'm not sure, you know, if I was in front of you or behind you or on the side of you. I can't tell you that. I'm sorry.
Okay, was you confused about because we was coming up on an intersection? Are you aware of the intersection we was coming up on?
I am very aware of the intersection. I'm sorry. Yes.
And what intersection was that?
Terrell Boulevard, and I think that's Mount Zion Boulevard, I think, if I'm not mistaken. One of the Mount Zions. I know it's like a Mount Zion Road Boulevard. It was at the intersection of, it was on Terrell Boulevard. It was one of the Mount Zions.
Okay, and did you know whether or not if you were supposed to been making a right turn at that intersection, or you was continuing to go straight?
I was continuing to go straight because I don't have to make a turn till I get down to Upper Riverdale Road. I travel that road. Well, I was traveling that road every day.
Okay, I don't have anything else to ask.
All right. Ms. John VA, any cross-examination, any further examination of this?
Yes, Your Honor. Just one brief question. Ms. Anderson, prior to the collision, did you attempt to make a lane change?
No, ma'am, I did not, because I don't have to make a lane change. I don't know if you're familiar with that road, but at the point of where the accident happened, it's like a turning lane, another lane, the left lane, and then there's another lane which I was in, and I do not get over in the far to right lanes because two of those lanes veer off to the right. Right there in front of Burger King. I have to turn left on Upper Riverdale Road. When it's raining or so forth, I do not ride in that very left lane that's close to the sidewalk because the medium in the road, because water sits up in the road when it's bad weather. So I actually make my lane change when I get down right before I get to the Upper Riverdale Road. You have two lanes that turns left on Upper Riverdale Road.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have anything further, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
All right, Ms. Johnson, any other questions for Ms. Anderson?
No.
Okay. All right. Did the state have any other witnesses or evidence to present?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Milligan, I believe, is available.
All right. Officer Milligan, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, I swear.
All right, you can put your hand down, sir. Ms. John VA, your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Officer Milligan. Can you please state your full name for the record?
Officer Micah Milligan.
All right. Thank you. And Officer Milligan, where are you currently employed?
Clayton County Police Department.
And what is your job title at the Clayton County Police Department?
Police officer with the Uniform Division.
And how long have you been with Clayton County Police Department?
A little over 2 years.
Thank you. Is there any required training to be a police officer?
Yes, ma'am. We're required to go through basic mandate training as well as a field training program.
And have you completed that training?
Yes.
Do you have any special training, Officer Milligan?
I have gone through additional training courses, standardized field sobriety, advanced roadside impairment detection, things of that nature.
Have you had any training in collision or accident reconstruction?
Not advanced training, but just your basic accident investigation. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you say basic, can you give me an example of what would be a basic accident training?
Just what you would get going through your standard basic mandate and field training.
Okay.
No specialized training is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. And Officer Milligan, were you working on December 17th, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time was your shift that day?
I'm on morning watch. So that's 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And did you have an opportunity to be on Terra Boulevard and Mount Zion Road?
Yes, ma'am. I got called to that location due to a vehicle collision.
Terra Boulevard and Mount Zion Road, is that in Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
And once you arrived, can you please tell us what you observed?
I spoke with both drivers of each vehicle. They both pretty much have the same story, just the opposite. One's saying that she swerved out of her lane and hit me. The other one's saying the same thing, just again, the opposite. There was minor damage to both vehicles. From what I recall, there wasn't any type of roadway evidence or debris or anything of that nature. Again, the damage was minor. The damage to one vehicle was on the driver's side, close to the rear, just past the rear passenger door. The other vehicle, it was on the passenger side near the front.
Thank you. So after you observed the vehicles and you spoke with the drivers of the vehicle, did you identify who was driving which vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who was the driver of Unit 1?
Believe that would be Miss Johnson.
Ms. Nakia Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And do you see Ms. Nakia Johnson here in the courtroom today?
Yeah, I saw her on here just a second ago.
All right. Let the record reflect that Officer Milligan has identified Ms. Johnson.
Record can't reflect that. He said he saw her on there a minute ago. He didn't say who she was or what she looked like to such that the court could differentiate her from anybody else on the call.
Officer Milligan, can you identify Ms. Nakia Johnson on the call at this moment?
Well, right now I just see the person that's speaking. Hold on. I might be able to change it up and give me a different camera view. Ms. Johnson is wearing a red shirt, short hair.
Thank you, officer. I'll let the record reflect that Officer Milligan has identified Ms. Johnson.
Record shall reflect that.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, Officer Milligan, based on your training and your investigation at the time of the accident, did you determine who might be at fault for the collision?
Yes, ma'am.
Before you tell me that, what did you observe that led you to that conclusion?
Due to the positioning of the damage on the vehicles, it's extremely common for there to be a blind spot when you're using your side view mirrors. So just based on the positioning of the damage, that was what I used to determine.
Okay. And Officer Milligan, how many accidents or collisions have you investigated? Just a rough estimate.
Couldn't even begin to put a number on that. It's been quite a few.
Would you say more than 50?
Yes.
More than 100?
At the time of investigating that accident, no.
Okay. All right. So at that time, about 50 investigations you conducted, correct?
Yeah, if I had to give you a rough estimate, I would say somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. And so you said after you investigated, you determined that there was one vehicle and their driver that was at fault. Yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Who did you identify as the driver at fault?
Miss Johnson.
Officer Milligan, why did you determine that Ms. Johnson was the driver at fault and not Ms. Anderson, or driver 2 for vehicle 2?
Again, just to elaborate, due to conflicting statements, just going off of the damage to the vehicles and the positioning of that damage, I use that to make my determination.
Thank you. And once you identified that driver 1 was at fault, did you cite driver 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Johnson, did you have any questions of Officer Milligan?
None that I can think of.
Okay. All right. Did the state have anything else for Miss Anderson or Officer Milligan?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And does the state have any additional evidence or testimony it wishes to present?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Johnson, you're not required to present any evidence or testimony or give any testimony on your behalf. You have the right to remain silent, and the state has the burden of proving the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. The state has presented its witnesses in this case. Sir, ma'am, do you wish to present any evidence or testimony on your own behalf?
Yes.
Okay, you wish to testify, ma'am?
Yes.
And you wish to waive your right to remain silent?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, we was traveling north. And yes, it was foggy. The other person, Miss Anderson, she was ahead of me to my left, and I was approaching her. And as I was approaching her, she looked like she was kind of confused, like maybe she was coming up on a turn or something. And I proceeded to pass her. And as I passed her, that's when I felt something hit my car. And once I looked over my left shoulder, she was looking at me where she had done ran into the back side of my driver's side. And then once she looked at me, she just told me to go ahead and pull over to the gas station. And if I would have known when the officers got there, that they was going to give me a ticket, I would have stayed where I was so they could see exactly who was at fault. I mean, because citing me is just like he say, she say. And I told them at the time that I just didn't feel that it was fair. She really was confused of what lane she was in or whatever. So, I mean, I do have pictures of my vehicle and I have pictures of her vehicle or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know.
All right. Miss John VA, did you have any questions of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. So, just one quick question. You said that it was foggy that day?
Yes, ma'am.
How much visibility would you say you had in front of you?
It wasn't like a thick fog. It was like a mild fog to where I could still see ahead of me. I could still see the traffic signal. I could still see the cars in front of me because it was between 4:30 and 5 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, thank you. No questions, Your Honor. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Miss Johnson?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Miss John VA, did you have argument?
I would just say, Your Honor, that through the testimony of Ms. Anderson and Officer Milligan, we were able to present that Ms. Johnson was making a change in the lane in her blind spot, Your Honor, from the testimony of Ms. Anderson, who admits this is the road that she travels daily and had no need to make a right turn or to change lanes, and also advised that she did not change lanes, Your Honor. So at this time, the state would ask that you find Ms. Johnson guilty.
All right. All right. So the both ladies have spoken about how it was foggy outside. They were both traveling north. But both of them disagree as to who deviated from the lane in order to cause the damage to the vehicles. While Officer Milligan's technique of determining who was at fault is reasoned and makes a lot of sense, because the vehicles moved and the possibility exists that either of the cars could have deviated from their lane, the court is going to find that there's insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was at fault in this case. Therefore, I'm going to find Ms. Johnson not guilty of the offense. All right. All right. So and we're still waiting on Miss Harris. Miss Harris, did you did Miss Janvier, did you find any? I'm sorry, Miss Johnson, you're free to go.
Okay.
Officer Milligan, Miss Anderson, if Miss Johnson, if Miss Janvier is ready for you all to go, y'all are free to go on the court's behalf. Miss Harris, did you find the information that you were supposed to send to Miss Janvier?
Okay, so no, I did not find it. And
Okay, so Miss Harris,
can I just get a 30-day?
no, ma'am. So just stop, Miss Harris. So we have indulged you for quite some time about having paid, not having paid. So you didn't actually enter a plea in the case. So you either have to enter a plea or have a trial. There's nothing to pay at this point because the court hasn't made a decision as to whether you are guilty of the offense because we haven't had a plea or a trial. So today was your day to have a trial because you entered a plea of not guilty. If you're not ready to have a trial, then you're going to have to talk to the state about whether they're willing to offer something for a plea.
So I can't get 30 days.
To do what?
To pay the ticket off.
Ma'am, I keep telling you there's nothing to pay unless you have a plea or a trial. This is not something where you just sign on and pay off the ticket. You're here before the court for a trial. It's a failure to yield the right of way. It's something that the court has to determine.
Okay, so what do you want me to do then to not have this case open?
Okay, so when you came to arraignment, traffic court arraignment, you asked for a trial. This is where we are. So at this point, the case is open because you asked for a trial. So now you either can talk to the state and ask them if there's a plea, the offer that they're willing to make that you will accept and enter a plea of guilty or no contest if no contest is available to you. Or today we have a trial and you just seen 2 trials, so we can try your case right now. The officer is here.
Okay. I don't even know what to say because it's not even my fault. It's not my fault. The dude hit me and that's all I know.
Now, Ms. Harris, you want to have a trial, all right?
No, I don't even want to have a trial.
Okay, then do you want to talk to Ms. Janvier about a possible plea?
Sure.
Okay, so Ms. Janvier, Ms. Harris, I'm going to put you all in breakout room number 1. I'm sorry, breakout room number 2, and you all can discuss a possible plea. Officer, if you would hang in here until we are sure that a plea is going to take place, and thank you for your patience.
Your Honor, the state has an announcement.
Go ahead, Ms. Janvier.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Harris is agreeing to enter a plea of guilty.
Okay. All right, Ms. Harris, I have to see you.
Yes.
Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Ms. Harris, you're before the court on 2021 TK 19761 for failure to yield the right of way. By entering a plea of guilty, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On December 18th of 2021, an officer was dispatched to an accident on McDonough Road and State Road 138 in Clayton County, where the officer investigated and determined that driver one, Ms. Harris, was at fault for the accident while making a left turn onto McDonough Highway, striking driver two on the right side of her vehicle. The state is recommending a fine of $85, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Harris, the fine is going to be $85. It'll be a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit like 125 maybe with the surcharges. And I'll give you, do you need more than 30 days in which to pay? I can give you up to 60 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll give you 60 days in which to pay. This is what I'm going to ask you to do. Do you know how to use the chat function?
No, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to chat something to you as a test. And when you see the red indicator come on, then click on that.
Okay, got it.
All right. Now, what I need you to do is when you open that chat function, you'll see a name in blue. It should be my name, but I want you to click on it and look for it, the drop-down menu. You'll see Brenda Castaneda. I want you to click on that name.
Got it.
All right. Send her your email address. Make sure you check your email address several times to make sure you're sending the right letters and numbers. Okay.
Okay. All right, I sent it.
All right, so you'll get a email back with your information. Make sure you check it within the next couple of days, and then it'll have the date by which you need to pay. It'll also have information about paying online or by phone, okay? And Ms. Harris, if you fail to pay by the due date, then an arrest warrant may issue, okay?
Okay.
All right, you're free to go at this time. That concludes the 2 p.m. calendar, and that concludes the traffic bench calendar. We have a motion for revocation of bond. My understanding is that Mr. Barksdale is only serving time on the weekends, and he did not appear today in the courtroom. Is he in the courtroom, Deputy?
No, ma'am, it's not.
Okay, Ms. Val?
That motion was withdrawn by the state.
Okay, so the state withdrew the motion. All right, at this time, the courtroom can be shut down and the court has concluded the traffic bench calendars for today. Anything else? I'm signing as we speak. So I think I've signed most of the stuff that was outstanding, but I'm still signing. All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, that's evening, y'all.